Welcome back, everyone, to the LEC on the final day of the regular season. Well, we warned you in the beginning of the day that things could get crazy, and boom, Misfits beats Splice. That also means that we will now have maximum one tiebreaker for that last playoff spot because Fnatic and G2 are locked into the top two. Splice will have to do with third, and there's no way for them to get back into that second spot. That is at least set.
Yep, that is definitely for sure. That means that if you're curious as to whether or not you want to go to Athens, you know that G2 and Fnatic will definitely be there. And in our round 2, they will be going up against each other as well in a best of 5, which I'm sure many fans will be looking forward to.
That is one puzzle that is resolved, but our next matchup is a direct playoffs elimination game as Origen fight to save an otherwise catastrophic summer split. What has been going on with Origen this summer? They had a long-term project coming into the first weeks of spring. They developed week after week, and in the end surprised maybe even themselves by making it to the finals, but they haven't hit the same strides at all and are now on the brink of not making playoffs.
No, they have not, Sjokz. And you're right, it is so close to them to not even qualify, and it's not even in their control anymore. They need Rogue to lose against Fnatic later in the day, along with getting this win right here. It is so important for them to come out on top because Rogue sit there and hold the head-to-head. So there's so much pressure, there's so much weight, and it's got to feel like such a failure for this team because at the beginning of the year, they talked about how they wanted to grow. And we think about how Andre, when he was on Schalke last year, they went from spring to summer and they made it to the finals in summer. Now the opposite has happened now that he's working with Origen. The decline that they've seen is not what anyone expected. And now they're in a situation where they might not even get the opportunity to prove themselves in playoffs.
Absolutely. And you got to think the people on that roster, some of them are so experienced. They have seen the world stage. They have been in these moments. So they need to get it together, at least for this game, so they get this win over SK Gaming. But SK Gaming, on the other hand, they are looking to continue their late season surge. SK was also a playoff team in spring, got knocked out in the first round, but we had high expectations. Unfortunately, they went on an 8-game losing streak during summer, so we weren't too sure. But since the introduction of Jenax in the mid lane, things have been looking up and they are still in the running.
And I think it was something that the team struggled with because they had no consistency in how they wanted to perform. One of them was their mid lane Hyperion. With the introduction of Jenax, they found that consistency. He's a lot more reliable. He has a deeper champion pool. And I feel like that with his growth, we're seeing the growth of the bot lane duo as well. Crownshot is finding so many more advantages in his lane. Selfmade seems to be returning to form and is performing like we saw from him last split. And I have been impressed with what I've been seeing from SK over the last few weeks, and that just goes to show how much more pressure there is on Origen in this game because they're not going up against a weakened SK. They're not going up against a worse team. There is a good opportunity here for SK to actually turn it around and find a big win over Origen.
When it comes to SK's roads to playoffs, they have to win here and then hope that Schalke beat Vitality in their next game because that would give them a tiebreaker game against Vitality for a spot in playoffs. They could absolutely save their summer split by doing that. And then it's all a question of, in this moment, who is hungry enough? Who has the motivation and the momentum to bring it across the finish line and make it to the playoffs? What does your gut say, Vedius?
Well, I've predicted Origen, but I feel like that it was just too hard for me to go against them because I love Officio so much. I'm a big fanboy.
But you're an analyst.
I know, but that's why my prediction said Origen, but for analytically, I feel like SK have the edge. I feel like that they are the stronger team based on what we've seen recently, and I feel like that if anyone is the favorites coming into today, it should be SK.
And if you lose in predictions, you've got no one to blame but yourself. I know. With your heart. What a disgrace, but I hope they play their hearts out right now. And if SK can stay in the race for playoffs, and if Origen can, as we head over to our casters.
Thank you very much, Sjokz. Of course, it is now an elimination map. The pressure on for both of these teams. I said map on accident. I meant match. There's always the same map in this one. But
are you okay?
No, it's a weird day.
We're already off to a rough start, man.
Okay, wait, I got it.
I just watched a Volibear kill a cat like 8 times, dude. It's just a traumatic experience.
It is an elimination match. It is do or die for both SK and Origen. Step 1 is just win here. Step 2 is Vitality and Rogue and some shenanigans after that. But you must win here. If you lose, you are out.
All eyes on both these lineups. SK has been rising. Jenax in the mid lane has been a godsend for this team's level of performance. On the opposite side, Origen faltering at every stop. But what can they show us today? For now, it is smiles on their faces as we get into picks and bans and see exactly what both teams want to bring to the table.
So the champions that I want to see Origen grab, I want them to get Sejuani or I want them to get Gragas. Kold is just a completely different jungler when he's not on one of these champions. I'll even give him a Jarvan, throw that one out there. But if he's denied those champions, I feel like Origen fall apart because Kold doesn't have any teeth.
Yeah, and I'd be very surprised to see SK leave that Sejuani open here, so maybe looking at a few of those other options. Whereas on the other side of the rift, Selfmade is a guy who, on much more comfortable champions, this guy has been trying to revolutionize this SK roster ever since Jenax entered into the mid lane. Jenax was a major upgrade for SK, and ever since he's come in, it's felt like Selfmade has been completely unlocked in the map.
Should be a Sejuani ban coming in last for SK, is what I'll predict.
Debating a little bit on what exactly they want their options to be. What exactly are Origen willing to take if this is or does get banned away? Of course, for now, taking a bit of time here, but you can see the Akali, a lot of actually assassin champions banned away from the side of SK Gaming. Jenax, of course, proving himself on a number of champions thus far. The Aatrox, of course, his first one to be picked up.
I actually think these are really smart bans from SK Gaming coming out of here. So many times Origen have looked towards that Corki as the priority pick onto blue side because Nukeduck has been finding success with it. And so by taking away the Sejuani and the Corki and then all of the assassins actually be banned by Origen side, I'm curious if they go for the first pick Jarvan. I really like it because, again, we talked about Kold. He has to get one of these champions, and now it feels like Origen are finally recognizing that. It is so important to get their jungler one of his key comfort picks, and Jarvan is it.
Yeah, and I also think that SK, for Selfmade in particular, he's usually playing level 3 or level 6 junglers. By having a jungler like the Jarvan that can come in, play aggressively, maybe even divide the map at level 2, you have much more ability to control the pace of the early game, and that's what Origen, I feel, has been struggling to do all split long.
And they are simplifying it as we are flying through this ban phase. Xayah and Rakan is the follow-up right there. So much power given to Mithy. It's no longer the Tahm Kench. Instead, that goes to SK Gaming. And then Patrik getting a power champion like Xayah. There's so much potential to work through the bottom lane here, and I already feel so much better about this Origen 3 champion pick than their previous drafts.
Yeah, and on the side of SK, it seems like maybe with the Tahm Kench coming in, we could see Crownshot return to the Varus or the Ashe here, focus more on the solo lanes for this team. It's going to be pretty hard to punch out a Xayah Rakan in the 2 versus 2, especially if you want to go for more defensive end, play the weak side of the map, and put a lot more faith in Sacre.
I mean, if Patrik and Mithy want to take a page out of Jessica and Mystique's book, maybe you ban the Varus, because you don't want to take that 2v2. It went rather sideways yesterday.
Interesting to see what the final ban will be here. However, you know that they're not too worried about the Aatrox on the top side of the map, as they did kind of let it go into the hands, most likely of Jenax. However, Sacre has remained sort of the ranged champion expert there on the top side of the map, so the mystery of the flex pick, often not quite as mysterious when SK takes to the stage, but OG really taking a lot of time here debating what they want to give up, what they want to set up for success, because of course SK will have the luxury of last pick, and the Ashe actually will be the takeaway here. The other half of the Ashe-Varus auto-win push sort of duo. Yep,
Varus going to be locked in there. Pretty easy predict for Crownshot. Now, on the side of SK, if they decide to go for something more split push style with Sacre on, you know, a Kennen or an on-hit Nico perhaps, that would be a little bit difficult for them, I feel, because there's already a lot of engage tools on the side of OG. So usually when we do see SK, it's about the lane dominant solo laners, but they're going to need to be able to pack a punch in the 5v5 to match up against this Origen squad already.
I'm curious to see, of course, the Kennen going to go to the hands of Alphari on the top side of the map. He's had some monster performances this split, but has also had some struggles. We'll see which version of Alphari shows up today and what exactly Origen want to lock in now as the final pick for Nukeduck. Is the Nukeduck champion Ocean alive and well? What exactly is he going to bring to the table?
Ooh, I really like
That's
this.
An Ocean pick.
Well, you have to expect it, because look at all those possible mid lane bans. The Corki, the Azir, the Akali, the Sylas, and the Qiyana, everything got hit. We had to go all the way down to find the Taliyah. Now, Taliyah is being played in the LCK and the LPL, and I actually think she combines rather well with the likes of Jarvan. You have the Flick, you have the Flag and Drag. It sets up for great gank potential if Kold wants to give Nukeduck some early attention.
Yeah, it also means that playing for side lanes post level 6 to get those 2v2 roams off when you bring your jungler alongside you to make plays happen is going to be a very strong pairing. Now, for SK, they go for the Rumble, so not the range top laner for Sacre, but instead the team fight power and some softer long-range initiation with the Equalizer.
But it was one of those bets of, is this Aatrox actually a flex pick? And I have no doubt that Sacre can play it, but we know him more as the mage top lane player or the range top lane player, so it is the Aatrox going into Jenax's hands.
And now both team comps sit before our eyes. Origen, so many components that allow them to team fight if they want to, but could still see Alphari go towards more of an AD option if he wants to be the split pushing threat. On the opposite side, Sacre does his best to answer some of that AoE damage with Rumble and the Equalizer. But what are we looking at for win conditions for both these lineups?
I mean, SK Gaming hit very hard in the midpoint of the game. You're looking at level 11, you're looking at 2 items. Anytime you have that Rumble ultimate, there's a big power window for SK Gaming. Now, the same thing can be said for portions of Origen's comp, but I like their scaling a little bit better.
Yeah, especially when you look at a player like Patrik down bottom side on that Zai, going to be doing a whole lot. Remains to be seen what Alphari goes for, whether it's the on-hit to dominate anyone that matches him in a side lane. Could go for stuff like the Wit's End and really bully out a Rumble. Or if Origen want to simplify, like we asked them to do, that AP cannon to just make it the pure team fight.
All eyes on both these lineups. This is an elimination match, ladies and gentlemen. SK Gaming or Origen. Someone will be leaving this match without a chance in playoffs.
We're on the Rift. It's the eliminate. Ah.
Come on!
We have time to talk. It's fine.
All right, so someone failed to load in the game, so we'll keep you guys updated as to how it goes when they try again. Couldn't, you know, it's like
That's
the
a
bird.
mood.
You jump and you just miss the, nah, can't fly yet. We'll get there. But in the meantime, all right, guys, I'm going to give you a bit of a spoiler, I know. You want to know exactly what happens in the script. Well, there's no script, sorry. But there is a Hail of Blades Xayah. Now, that's a little weird to me. Not as weird as the Hail of Blades Rakan we saw.
What does it tell you, Drakos?
That they want to kill people.
Okay. And what does Kennen's Keystone tell you?
Well, Kennen took press the attack, which I think is going to make Ender very sad, so I was going to wait to tell him that.
What does it mean, though, Drakos?
It means they're not going to simplify it, Ender.
Nope, they're not going to simplify it. They're playing for the on-hit cannon, which ultimately against the Rumble is a good choice in terms of the 1v1 match. If you go for the Wit's End, you're going to smash it in that lane. But it's something that I think EU teams have historically struggled to do, to try and play side lanes. Now, I say that they have a Talia in the game as well, so they have the ability to try and attack the lanes that the cannon are in. But it's not going to be the easier strategy for them to execute.
It means that there is an option for them if they can get over that hurdle of SK Gaming's massive mid-game, that they can eventually look towards that cannon out in a side lane.
And here we go, folks. OG versus SK. And this was important to note. How do Origen make playoffs? Well, first, they need to win. Then they need to hope, cross their fingers, that Vitality or Rogue lose later in the day. Once again, not really in their hands. SK, on the other hand, they're going to hope a little bit more because they not only need to win this game, they need to hope Vitality lose the next game, and then they need to play a tiebreaker versus Vitality. But as exciting as those stakes are, this level 1 might be a little bit more. But now Mithy is going in, but the rest of his team is nowhere near him. He just completely tunnel vision, and now he's going to give up his life because Jenax is waiting for first blood. That was so bad.
Give him the dab. That is devastating. It feels like every time Origen take the Rift, it is just a mental boom. You expect so much more of these players and their capabilities, and this is not how you start in an elimination match.
It's just miserable here, too, because there's actually 2 people hiding underneath them. Mithy still goes forward even after seeing Dreams come around the corner right there. Nukeduck not in position. This is just inexcusable.
And the thing is it's good for SK Gaming to read this. This is a common play that Rakans love to run when they take the W early, they do some cheeky pathing, they get into that underneath jungle. So, of course, SK Gaming have the option that they can set a trap.
And I'm going to let it go. I was a disappointing play.
Walk it off.
You can see that what he had the kill in his eyes. He thought he had the setups, did not see it. It looks like Sacre come around the corner and so win it anyway. But regardless, this now puts him at a bit of a disadvantage. But the thing is, it doesn't just cost Mithy, it now costs Nukeduck as well, because that is an extra longsword in the hands of Jenax, an extra pot, and he now gets to be that much more of a threat to a Talia.
Right, that's gonna be rough in the mid lane for sure. But early on, Talia definitely going to have to push. And I think even looking larger picture here, Origen's plan was to try and split the map early. I feel like when you have a Hailblade Xayah, that's a lot of kill pressure to quickly stack those feathers and get CC in the early laning phase. So my thought here was Kold was going to go his red buff into the enemy blue, try to split the map and put a lot of pressure down bottom lane. But after losing the flash on Mithy and that kill, all of a sudden they have to rethink rethink their strategy in the game.
Yeah, I agree with you, and I think SK Gaming had the same thought, not only setting the trap there, but also that ward in the middle of the river. That's commonly placed there by teams to catch Jarvan when he goes over that Dragon Wall, tries to go buff to buff, and it means that there's not going to be a split map, and we're going to see what Selfmade then does with that time. So far, it has been a full clear over the top side.
Yeah, now there was a blue ward on top of Selfmade's red that saw him go for this 3-camp clear on the top side, so Kold will be pathing down now, and probably not going to be able to do too much with that information, but because he does have bot and mid priority, if he wanted to make a play on the enemy blue or for this bot side scuttle, both him and Selfmade are probably going to be crashing there around the same time.
And I feel like a different jungler would go, and maybe even a different situation, but in such a high pressure game like this, as we will track Kold's pathing, he's respawned, you see the on the way pings, I actually didn't think that Origen would go for this play.
They now step up, they lay down a little bit of vision, but it will not spot out Selfmade. Selfmade has backed, he does have the Predator boots up and available. He could look to force something on the bottom side, but the vision there will spot out his pathing and will stop him from forcing any creative plays here up against the Origen bot lane.
It's a very common play when you do have bot pry and you know the enemy jungler is going for a full clear topside to get that early vision inside. You push out the wave entirely and then get the setup to make a play.
But do you take the chance on a game this high stakes? Because if things get crazy, if multiple teleports come in, if you completely lose an early game because random kills went through, I think that's why Origen decide, yes, we have the priority, we could look for it, but too many summoner spells are missing, and we don't want to take that chance when we have the scaling.
Right, and ultimately, it's not that Origen feel forced to make play or anything like that. You never have to make that move, but it's the vision that's most important. Because you know exactly where Gragas is going to be, this is his window to actually find a gank. He went back to base, he picked up Predator boots. With a pushing Patrik and Mithy, they would be vulnerable. Now that they have that vision completely dominating the bot side of the jungle, Selfmade is going to be forced into full clearing back up towards his top side.
And it's actually really important that Kold's position on this map and his responsibility to it is about information gathering. He wants to control. He's always been a control jungler, making sure that he can track Selfmade, deny those ganks that you're talking about. But because his team don't have teleports, it's Nukeduck running Ignite, not the TP. If any bad backs happen where they get killed, it's that much more punishing the lane because they can't immediately get back to it.
Yeah, and for Kold, it's all about playing on the offense early on, you know, that quicker spiking jungler. You can now look for mid.
Jenax stepping there with the Predator boots are now coming out. Kold is going to get locked up by the Infernal Chains. The immediate flash now forced out here. Body slam forward. Kold going to be locked down. Jenax is going to go forward. Does he have the dash? He is. He's going to hit the first one. Kold now set to fall. That is going to be the kill. The flash to the side from Jenax. Looking fancy while he does it. A second kill.
Yeah, Kold had to flash away very quickly, but Selfmade did not do the damage to break Predator. He goes back in one more time.
Body slam flash for Nukeduck still up and available, but he's holding on to it for now. Has popped the final stack of his corrupting pot. Jenax stepping forward. Has to be careful here though. The knockback. Nukeduck fishing for the kill. He is going to take out Jenax. SK bite off more than they can chew.
And Nukeduck saves the day right there. Now Dream's in trouble.
Halo Blades does come out. Dream's still able to walk away for now. Crownshot though now taking so much damage. A positive trade for OG, but nothing going to come through in the end from it.
Falling back to Nukeduck, playing on a knife's edge right there, recognizing that he still had access to his flash. He was going to play with fire. He was going to test his luck, and in the end, it worked out for him.
And honestly, so incredibly crucial that he did survive and did find that kill in the end because he does not have TP. He has Ignite. If he goes down there and Jenax is able to push the wave in, he loses everything. But here you can see Kold not quite ready for this play.
Now, Selfmade did have a ward spotting out Kold, but again, the important thing, Predator was not consumed on that initial gank. So Kold runs away here, but Selfmade can chase him down. Then Jenax thinks he can continue forward for this trade, but he's going to miss the chains on towards Nukeduck, which is ultimately what costs him here. And even if he does land those chains, Nukeduck has the flash available to try and get out of there, so it was a little over-ambitious from him.
In the end, does cost him, gets the shutdown over to Nukeduck as well, as he did have the 2 kills, I believe. So
I think he also, oh no, I was going to say maybe he even picked up the buffs, but not there.
no buffs for Nukeduck this time around, but he is level 6 now, and of course Talia going to be afforded a lot more mobility. The Hail of Blades, the early game investment from Patrik, could pay off if Nukeduck is able to find some time down on the bottom side of the map. Dreams though locked up by Patrik, the arrow will not connect, and that means once again a very positive trade for the side of OG.
I would like to quickly focus in on the top lane here, specifically Alphari, because of his itemization. He's going for that first item, Wit's End, which is going to be super effective into both Selfmade and Sacre, both doing magic damage on the top side of the map. It's one of the reasons why on-hit cannon is going to be superior than AP cannon in these AP matchups specifically, because you can go for that early Wits and just shrug off a lot of damage.
Flash forward from Dreams, he's not afraid whatsoever. Mithy immediately has to flash out to safety. Well played, but it costs both summoner spells from Dreams in the end. Might not have been worth the trade.
But that could have been a very different picture if Mithy doesn't flash away from that piercing arrow.
And Taliyah, of course, spotted out on the ward. The team immediately knows that it is time to back off. That is not Crownshot's moment to commit the flash as well, because the Weaver's Wall would have come out in an instant.
But you now know that Mithy's flash is down. Crownshot's level 5, getting closer to level 6. There it is. And now Mithy has to play much more cautiously around this, because this is Crownshot just looking for an opportunity to flash ult.
Predator now coming in. Cold realizes he's behind the play. They already pinged this one out a mile away, and it means that the information will be there. The Vision Ward sees them as well. Jenax will dash over the wall, but Nukeduck and Kold are ready to respond.
River control is going to be so important in the next few minutes because of the trade that happened between both supports. Losing their flashes down there, and with a champion like the Taliyah in the game, having access through the river to find these roams onto a summonerless target is going to be super, super key, and probably the next focal point these teams are going to be trying to attack.
And of course, now Selfmade getting closer and closer to level 6. Kold already has his, but as you mentioned already, playing very much the control style this time around. Not going to force too many plays here, even with a strong bot lane like the Xayah and Rakan. Good from the side of SK not to give up too much in the early laning phase. Mithy and Patrik just doing what they can to reset, to restart here on the bottom side of the map.
I mean, it helps that it's a Cloud Dragon, so no one's really pressured to force plays, as we've kind of been talking about. As Dreams stops the back.
It's also pulling the wave, which is pretty rough for OG there. I almost would have liked Mithy to try and stop him off the wave while Patrik was channeling a recall and then jumping back to him at the last second. Instead, now Crownshot can freeze on his side of the lane, and Patrik, even though he has TP, can't come back into this lane if Mithy resets. If Mithy stays around, then he can, but they're going to be at a disadvantage because Mithy has taken a bit of damage from some trades.
TP will now come in. Kold, though, is coming to the bottom side. This is their chance to instantly break the freeze that SK are trying now to set up. Level 6 comes in from Crownshot, though. Level 6 from Mithy, too. A lot of engaged potential here.
They've timed this really well. Yes, Origen can look for a kill here if SK Gaming try their luck and overstay, but they've timed it well with Selfmade's red buff. They know that Gragas should be on the top side of the map, so it's safe to look for things like trying to break this freeze, which they're forcing it because the three melee creeps have stopped the wave on SK's side.
But of course, they know this is happening.
Here comes Gragas.
Patrick's TP given up just to break the freeze. Will they give up anything else? Crownshot, though, stepping very far forward, trying to bait Kold in. Of course, Dreams is the get-out-of-jail-free card at this point for the play. Can look to cancel the backs here onto Kold to try to get a play kicked off. Max range bar assault, pretty easy to dodge, but not if you're not ready for it. Kold does get caught out. The flag and drag will still take him to safety, but now Selfmade is fishing for the play. Patrik is not going to get knocked back. It is only Mithy. He now needs to retreat, but Mithy now looking to turn and burn, but no, Tuck will save the day. Still spinning him out. Selfmade going to make it out of safety. Mithy so incredibly low. Eyes on the bars. Where's the arrow going to go? Backing off as Patrik is the stalwart front line that will stop anyone else from finding follow-up onto his team.
No one is willing to die right there, but Nukeduck has snuck into this bottom lane. Jenax was also moving down through the river. If Crownshot were to stay, he could look for a play himself, but literally everyone living with just a sliver.
And they got very fortunate that both teleports were down for the top laners as well as Jenax for that mid lane. It's just about to come off of cooldown, but again, we are very close to absolute disaster for both these teams. The next time a skirmish happens like this, there will be TPs and a party everywhere.
So in this play, Crownshot starts it off with this route. Notice you can buffer the CC by going for the EQ combo there on Kold.
Patrik plays that so well.
Yeah, with the juke forward here, and then it looks really bad news. Turns around, Mithy has to dash away, and then everyone sort of draws the line right there. Crownshot can't quite finish off Kold. Patrik can't move forward on towards Crownshot. They were just waiting for mid laners to come. They couldn't get there quite fast enough.
But now the bottom lanes have moved into the mid lane. The mid lanes have moved onto the bottom side. Good response from both sides. Both sides going to match, but Rift Herald looks to be the objective in the eyes of OG.
And again, that goes back to the fact that it's a Cloud Drake, so both teams trying to weigh up what is the more important objective and where do you actually want to park your Xayah.
Good sidestep from Crownshot. Will be able to make it out, but Dream's now the one in trouble. Crownshot has to be careful. The Weaver's Wall coming in, trying to make it on the other side, and he will be able to do so. Selfmade will not be forced to burn anything to protect his support, and they are going to make it out of safety. OG using a lot of resources there to get that done.
They have a lot of control over this river, though, so they had the option to move in there if they did want to, on top of the Rift Herald, to try and make a play. Because right now, with Nukeduck trying to make this move up towards mid, he gives up a tower plate on that bottom side of the map. Has the Ignite for the trade, though.
Jenax doing a lot of damage here. The knockback comes out, but Nukeduck is pulled back as well. TP now coming bot lane. It looks like Varus coming in. Crownshot is here.
Everybody's in the bot lane.
You don't mess with that, man. He TP'd in there, but now you might. Mithy is stepping forward, but it burns the TP.
That's a Tomcat teleport.
It's an unsealed spellbook.
I was like, all right, guys, we're a little trigger happy. Like, come on. But SK now have total control of bottom side. The bad news is Talia, of course, very easy for her to clear out the waves, but with a lot of already worked ground is going to make it harder for Nukeduck to approach. That means the second plate has now gone down. Selfmade is here. The flash away from the Varus ultimate, and Mithy going to walk away too, but 2 quick plates picked up by the side of SK, and that does push them further ahead in gold. 1.2k gold lead in their favor.
Yeah, this is actually a big win for SK over the course of the last 3 minutes. Yeah, Origen have gotten a lot of the TPs out, but we were playing around the mid bot lane. Origen can try to force this, but I think SK should get this read and actually just walk over and stop them. I don't know if Origen can actually secure this Herald if SK show up.
So
Maybe they'll be forced off.
Jenax is resetting. He doesn't get the reset off, though. He had the TP, wanted to go back and buy here in case there was a fight on Herald. Now Dreams.
Oh, they're trying to kill Dreams once again. Is this the time that he finally goes down? The knockback is there, but no. The Cataclysm will stop the Dragon's ulti from coming in, but Kold is the one to go down. Dreams still manages to live it. Sacre on the backside. Eyes on the equalizer. Where's it going to go? Alphari, the AD cannon, does not have any items quite yet. Mithy starting to burn. Can just dash right back to Patrik. Is going to leap out and make it to safety, but SK once again come out on top in the play.
It is these teleport differences. Origen keep trying to force plays. They tried to force the play into the mid lane. They tried to force the play in the bot lane, and it's just the constant TP response from SK bot then into the mid lane that have denied Origen so much time and investment.
And I want to take it back to something that we talked about, which is keeping it simple. It feels like when you have an AD cannon in your team comp, when you're the Hail of Blade Saya, instead of something that's going to scale better into the late game, it feels like you are the team that has to get something done in the early game. And historically, that has not been great for Origen. They're a team that does much better when they have more flexible options.
And more concerning for Origen in this specific game is it feels like SK has read them every single time that Kold has tried to make a move. Now here, they're the ones starting off. It's OG on the offensive every single time, but with a good stopwatch and a double teleport coming in from behind, OG has to try and run away here while the rest of SK can collapse and get that first kill.
It was also picture-perfect timing from Selfmade just as Dreams came out of stasis to make sure that he found the CC.
I also want to say that neither top laner had spent. They were both sitting on 2.5k gold, so when Rumble comes in, he was just tickling. Had he actually had a base off, maybe SK can chase for even more. As you can see, Alphari just finished off that Wit's End, and Sacre's still sitting on almost 3,000.
But we haven't talked a lot about the top lane thus far, but now I feel like it's a little bit more important to cast our eyes up to the top side of the map, because AD cannon early on denies a bit of CS. You can see the CS lead he's got, but now that he has Wit's End, feels like he might be a bit more of a threat and something that SK have to pay more attention to.
Yeah, I think as far as side lane threat, he's always going to have priority, you know, when he can walk up an auto attack, but it's not until you get the Blade of the Ruined King for that slow to start things off and the lifesteal that you start really terrorizing in a side lane. Yes, he's going to be winning, but until he gets 2-3 items, that's when he can completely take over.
See if it is enough. You can see Crownshot now backed up by the Tom Kench, very confident to step forward. Kold waiting in the shadows, hoping to get something done. Just a quick Devour comes in for Dream, spits him right back out. Selfmade, of course, ready to disengage if he needs to, and OG once again fishing for a play. Not committing too much this time around, but have yet to find any success here up against the Tom Kench.
That's okay. Again, we talk about how they don't need to make things happen in this mid game as we get closer to kind of these initial items completed. I'll hold it though for Alphari. I think he's just going to walk it off.
Trades ult for ult though, that's very big. Aatrox ult not nearly as important as the cannon ult in the grand scheme of things.
So right now, OG need to focus on putting Alphari in the matchup versus Sacre. Because he went for the matchup-specific item in the Wit's End, he's not going to be super happy dueling against Jenax, especially because he's going to have lifesteal as the Aatrox, so these longer trades and the longer they stay in lane, Jenax should be pretty comfortable in this matchup. So I expect to see Alphari get out of this top lane and continue to try and chase Sacre around the map.
That certainly slows down what SK Gaming want to do if they fight over the top side of the map, because Sacre is still missing his TP, so while he is trying to dodge around this cannon matchup as Alphari will chase him around the map, it means that if Origen force the Rift Herald, Sacre has that much farther to walk up to participate with the 2-point Rumble ultimate at level 11.
And now you see Alphari going back to the bottom side of the map, trying to secure that comfortable matchup to continue to extend his lead. Even opts to go for the Berserker's Greaves here to just push even further into some attack speed optimization to let him Bulii out. But you already saw the Weaver's Wall now used in the mid lane as well, so a lot of cooldowns gone for the side of OG.
Now with the pressure bought from Sacre bottom lane, he's now walked all the way up the river. Alphari has no teleport, so this is SK's chance to take Herald.
Yeah, and I think it's not just their chance. I think they're going to try to really hard force this, because you have a small window to do that where Sacre can be freed up to walk up here.
Sacre, of course, silenced by the overheat here. Dreams just walking forward, completely unafraid. OG not going to get really anything in that play. But we'll buy them a bit more time for Alphari to continue to move into the bottom side of the map. 16 minutes, so no plates there for him, but we'll be able to grab the solo turret kill. Gold 450 into his back pocket as the Herald does drop in the end.
Origen really want to clear out this mid lane wave so they don't risk losing their own tower. I did feel like maybe they were a little bit slow. They had an opportunity to move into the Drake themselves while Alphari was picking up the tower, but they will secure first tower. They will secure control over the spot side river, and with Jenax not having teleport, they could still maneuver into this if they wanted to.
course, complete control around the bottom side with Alphari pushing forward. Kold, though, opting to back instead of trying to contest the Drake. Don't want to give anything up here for this. Jenax backing top side as well.
I mean, the Drake is just kind of like a consolation prize at this point. It feels like the next play is going to be focusing around the Herald. Obviously, you'd like to use that mid lane and then force the tower down. But as Ender was talking about, you need to make sure that you have control of the ward, or excuse me, the wave, so you don't just send the Herald in there and have it immediately eliminated. So SK are going to have to pull a lot of resources. You can see Origen are gearing up to do the same thing. They use the TP, they pulled multiple members into the mid lane, and it's now about, can SK Gaming either find a pick or clear Origen out so they can make the most off of this Herald, or will they actually be forced to use it in a side lane with Aatrox?
Maybe not an ideal use case. Of course, the bottom lane tower quite low. McKinnon will be there to defend up against Jenax's Aatrox. Has the death stance, though, so sustain for both parties on the bottom side of the map. We'll see what the melee champion Aatrox can actually do to the tower. This Alphari is still very confident to step forward, but as you mentioned, Froskurinn, eyes on that Herald cooldown. It looks like it will be used here by Selfmade. Both creep waves have gone, so it's just going to be the Herald alone charging into the tower.
I thought this was a slow use on the Herald right there. They had zoned 2 members of OG up towards top side. There were also 2 members of OG in side lane, so it was really just Patrik in mid to try and defend. They still end up getting this charge off, but Nukeduck is on the side.
Crownshot really has to be careful here. Dreams already using that. Crownshot now locked up in the midst of the fight. They need to make it out to safety. The flash shot already being used. Crownshot walks back for a brief moment. Kold is knocked into the middle of the team, and that's going to be the sacrificial Jarvan. The rest of OG now has to run. Jenax fishing, looking for a play here, but a lot of trade damage means SK are just going to back off.
And really good response from SK to just wait for it, then pop the cask out and pick a great kill. Now they have the numbers advantage. They can continue to sit around, wait for this wave, and force down the tower.
You can see where the delay was almost problematic for SK, but now with the tower being so low, if OG stick around, they could be in big trouble.
Huge equalizer here, going to take about half of Mithy's health in an instant, and now the tower will fall as well. SK extended their gold lead, and remember, both these teams are playing for their lives. If OG lose here, they finish the split in 8th place. From a 2nd place finish in spring to 8th place and no playoffs for this lineup would be a disaster.
And Origen actually tried to set this up so well. Take a look at the top wave. The reason why Sacre is up there picking it up is because Nukeduck had shoved it in to force the Rumble to respawn and then made his way down here to attempt the flank. But because they're able to pick off Kold, they can't force the play, they can't find it when they felt that they had the numbers advantage. It just means that all of Nukeduck's effort and work means nothing. SK Gaming get the Rift Herald off, they get the mid tower, they pick up the kill. It feels great.
It's also really hard for Origen to try and defend Kold when he uses that Zhonya's right there, because Mithy, even though he can engage, he's super squishy, so he can't be like an all-star and walk in there and buy a lot of time for his Jarvan to come out of stasis and then escape. So once Kold goes in, he is going to be dead almost every single time, because SK have the ability to turn very well with both the Gragas cask and the arrows from Varus.
Easy to line up that cooldown on the back of any Zhonya's type effect. Of course, stopwatch now gone for Kold. Definitely not ideal in the plays to come, but still have to keep our eyes on the Cataclysm. Now, Alphari getting closer and closer to that 2-item point. You mentioned it earlier, Ender, that Blade of the Rune King might help him finally be the lethal threat that OG needs.
So what I want to see OG do is now try to play through him in side lanes, enable him, put vision down so he can force his way up through lane, give him the pressure he needs to be able to walk up and hit the tower. The hard thing for them is going to be to make plays in side lanes because of all the globals and TPs that SK have available.
Yeah, and that's the thing. SK on the other side want to make sure that Sacre is dodging that Kennen matchup well, that they're trying to match him across from Jenax, and you can see Jenax, with the help of SK Gaming, force him off the tower, will now take it, and make sure that Sacre is not facing off against Kennen, but he's instead using his ultimate in big team fights.
So because the Baron is the objective that has spawned, Alphari wants to be in bot lane, right? So that's why Jenax is always going to be the one going down there, because that way they can sort of guarantee the matchup that they do want. XK know they never want to be sending, or OG never wants to be sending the Kennen up top side. That's where Nukeduck is going to be almost all the time. So you can see Alphari just bailing out of this lane to come and pick things up in the mid, because OG are feeling like they're not getting what they want on this map right now.
And Alphari, of course, CSing so much in the side lane that he has now accrued a bounty, only 150 gold, but will make him that much more of an enticing target if SK do want to go for the collapse. However, instead, it's now SK's turn to fight for control over this Baron. They pushed out the mid lane. You can see Patrik catching the wave, and that means they get priority to move in and to try to take control of this area.
And also a reminder, in terms of itemization, this is where SK Gaming's comp is really strong. So if it's a fair fight, they are going to hit like a truck right now. Origen need to survive long enough, get to a couple more of their item breakpoints, and then it'll feel much better unless they can create an unfair fight with some of their globals.
The items you're specifically mentioning, they're coming through on Crownshot, right, with the Runons now for that AoE damage. Jenax 2, 30% CDR now on the Aatrox with the armor shred.
And
Selfmade.
They're gonna go for the instantly just delete him. Stopwatch buys a bit of time. Mithy is going to make it out, but that's the 80 carry dead, even with the feathers up. Patrik was just not fast enough.
We just got one shot right there from Selfmade. Now without an 80 carry, yes, Alphari can TP into this fight, but SK making a big power play.
Are they going to go for the Baron, though? I don't think they are. Instead, they set their sights on the top side of the map. They're going to put their 3 back into the mid lane to clear these waves out, just taking these small advantages. Sacre left up against the cannon, not ideal. Can try to use the equalizer to clear the wave, and he has done so.
Origen actually did a really good job after getting picked by denying SK just walking towards the Baron by hard forcing into the mid lane, and it actually bought time for Alphari continuously in this matchup that he wants to be in across from the Rumble. So it was trying to make the best of a bad situation.
Dream's now going to be in trouble, is knocked back. The exhaust does go down on a Nukeduck. OG know this time not to overcommit. They've been bit enough times trying to kill the Tahm Kench.
The one thing I think that was missing from OG's play right there was Mithy not actually placing down wards inside SK's jungle. There was one control ward that was almost instantly cleared. He had 2 wards he could have tried to use to try and set up for Alphari's push in the coming minutes, but that's going to be a bit of a ball drop right there, I think, on the side of Origen that Alphari can't have the pressure.
So as we go through this replay, it's really important to also recognize that Origen are going to race into this river, try to clear out vision. There's the insta-kill. And then as we come out of it, I'm curious where SK's positioning will be on the map. Okay, it's not as bad as I thought it was going to be. So Mithy is still killing out the vision that he started when we went into the replay, but he still needs to take his back. He's been on the Rift for a very long time.
There's a really big change here in the game, though, and that's that Jenax used to teleport. Sacre is the one with TP, so now Rumble must be the player to go bot lane from SK. This makes Origen a whole lot happier with the state of the map, and you just saw there Alphari walking in, putting down a control ward, clearing away some camps. He is now up to level 15 in this game. The only player that can match him on SK is Jenax. Sacre can't really stand a chance.
Which means that they don't want to be isolated into these lanes, so I'm curious, how desperate and how bold are SK Gaming going to be where they try to hard force this Baron when they feel that they still have such strong itemization?
The thing we're waiting for is for OG to actually try and pressure SK right now, because we've seen Alphari go into a side lane a whole lot. He's 0-0-0 right now. He's got 1 tower throughout this game. He hasn't been able to pressure that tier 2 because Rumble can use the ult to just clear away the minion waves. So until Origen actually feel like they're putting the pressure on SK don't have to, get too over-ambitious, don't need to be very anxious in this match.
I feel like Origen actually can just sit back and coast a little bit at this point. As long as they play defense around the Baron and don't let SK Gaming get it for free, continue to funnel farm where it's necessary. You can see that Patrik's in between items. As soon as he gets that second item, he's going to feel much better. I think the onus is on SK Gaming that they need to get it done right now when they feel strong.
I think Origen might even be comfortable waiting even longer. Patrik's going for the double, big AD items because he has Hail of Blades. He doesn't need the attack speed from Azil, so once he has that, that's when he's going to be feeling real good.
And moreover, when we look back at the plays that have been so good for SK, this game has very often felt like Origen overreaching, being the team to kick action off and SK being the team to kind of outplay and to turn the situation in their favor. But we haven't seen as many moments when SK are the team to initiate the action, to force the big plays, and that's where the pressure is now.
Yes, that may be changing because SK are picking up this Mountain Drake. Mountain Drake is the best dragon to have against a split push champion because you can just instantly force the Baron and call out the teleport. Now SK have the ability to quickly start that one up, force Alphari to come to them, and eliminate a split push threat for a long time.
But they need to put in the work. They're walking into an area that Origen have done all of that vision control. Again, Mithy took a very late back to make sure that this vision got laid down, so I don't think they can immediately turn onto the Baron, but step 1 has been complete. Now you repeat the cycle. You get control of the mid lane, you force it back in, then you look to pull the trigger once you've exhausted the vision line from Origen.
We've seen this constant push and pull throughout the game where Origen are pushing those side lanes and moving back down, but it's been very hard for them to continue controlling vision inside of the river. SK just have a stronger initiation, I feel like, right now, with the Gragas, the power of that AP, to be able to walk into the river and quickly force out Origen.
And while SK Gaming have been sitting with the gold lead for what feels like the majority of this game, I actually think Origen have done a really good job in this mid-game, stalling things out, slowing down the control and the pace of this game, again, to start funneling gold onto their necessary characters, champions. And a lot of that's been between Nukeduck and Alphari constantly bouncing these side waves back and forth.
And if we're talking about, big 3 items coming through, Alphari, he's working on his Frozen Mallet at the moment, which is going to make it very hard for any champion to actually be anywhere away from their tower. The constant slows make AD Kennen a menace.
And of course, the later we get in this game, the more that the pressure mounts. You see Memento commenting on it here, but for either team to make any more fumbles, we've seen a few small misplays here and there, would have to be the worst feeling in the world, knowing that you had the chance to win it all, to make it to playoffs, but it was not there. Remember, that if SK win here, they not only lock Rogue for playoffs and keep their dreams alive, they also lock G2 for Worlds. But OG, if they lose, are locked in 8th place. They will end the split in 8th place. And now we see both teams gearing up for some action. It looks like Mithy might have been caught out. We'll just dash out to safety.
Pretty bold move there out of Sacre, popping that thing, really trying to get control of this Baron, because right now Alphari is going on the push down bottom side. Sacre is not going down there to defend. They want to start this up.
Yeah, that's the desperation play, and now you're missing a key ultimate of that Rumble. So Origen should actually feel fairly confident to approach this, not necessarily to force the fight unless they have to, but to at least force SK Gaming off.
A lot of cooldowns already burned from Mithy. The Weaver's Ball going to stop most of them from getting into the pit for now, but OG do not have vision. They do not know what is happening. Alphari breaking into tier 2 in the meantime. Crownshot is going to throw out the ultimate. Jenax now moving in, but are they going to catch their sights on the Baron instead? 2K getting lower and lower. That's going to be the Baron in the end for SK. Alphari's broken a tower on the bottom side, but Mithy has paid the price there, and SK now with the Baron.
Origen had no ability to get wards inside of that pit right there, so the teleport never came through from Alphari. They did not want to take the risk of losing that. Now SK, with this comp that can engage with these long-range abilities with the Baron, they don't have to worry about Alphari.
So patient, so calm. Origen tried to stall out the late game, but victory favors the bold, and we finally have a bold call coming from SK Gaming. They knew as soon as the Rumble ultimate went down that they had to try to force it, that this was going to be the window or Kennen would take it all.
They have all the long-range lockdown here too to try and make sure Kold stays as far away from the pit as possible. A steal was almost never going to happen there from the side of Origen. Now SK are trying to play 2 lanes at the same time, get that push going and set up the siege.
And the good news for OG is that you now have Alphari with the Frozen Mount. He is a massive side lane threat, but he is only going to be useful if they can weather this storm, if they can survive this Baron. Eyes on Mithy. We've seen heroic Rakan plays across the season. Maybe this is his time to shine and turn things in his team's favor.
It is actually really dangerous for Origen to stand underneath these towers when you're against a long range like Varus as well as long range engage like Drakos. He can very easily sweep you off of structures. If Origen make a mistake with this Baron, they're dead.
Look at that! Yeah, Nukeduck knockback, huge damage now coming in, but Nukeduck will live. Selfmade uses the Zhonya's, buys a brief moment of time. Mithy gonna go in, the double knockup is there, but spin out to safety. Dreams once again saves the day. The redemption coming down. Alphari now on the way in, maybe to turn the play. The bar assault misses. That's going to be crucial. Can Alphari turn it with a cannon ultimate? They're running out of options fast.
SK are too low. They must back away from that inhibitor, but they got what they came for. They got that tower. The base has now been broken. They can pick up another one in this bottom lane and continue to use the rest of this Baron buff to push towards OG.
Yeah, but how much damage can SK Gaming do with this Baron? Again, we're still on a clock in terms of scaling. They need to make it count right now. Sacre has ultimate. There it goes.
Ultimate gonna buy them a bit of time, trying to get things kicked off. Nukeduck uses the Unraveled Earth, tries to stop any advances in their tracks, knowing the damage that will come out. Has the Morellonomicon, can limit the healing of Jenax if the fight does go through. The arrows are not connecting. SK have the Baron creeps, but health bars are quite low.
Really surprised to see SK staying on the map for this. They could have looked for a reset, come back onto the map with the remaining minute of their Baron, but they don't want to slow down. They have the TPs too, if they wanted to. Instead, the minion waves are arriving. They want to make one more bet, and they have the Gragas cast back up.
Yeah, I think you chunk health bars, you try to see what you can get, and then if worse comes to worse, you're forced to use the TPs. You have the numbers advantage, the health advantage, and look for the end.
Just knock them away from the turret here if you want to go for the siege. Here goes Kold!
Kold trying to find it. Mithy now moving into the backside, but for now, Crownshot has been kept alive. The bar's now trying to turn. Alphari doing what he can, but it is not the AP. It's Jenax on the flank. Maybe this is his time to shine. The lockup will not come through. Crownshot still alive. The double kill. The bar is simply too strong. And
this is it.
Go! SK are defeating Origen all too easily. Alphari, though, he wants it. This is his time to shine. He gets another one. He's buying more time for the team. That should have been the end, but Alphari holds on for Origen.
With their backs against the wall, Alphari is able to give them more time, but SK do not look like they're done just yet. It is a 1v2 right now, and Crownshot will seize the end in his eyes.
We'll lock him up. Selfmade, not a lot of mana. Can they lock him down? The damage is there. He gets it. That's the shutdown. Crownshot, they've done it. SK. Timer's getting lower and lower. Mithy needs to buy it 5 seconds. So Kold. Crownshot desperately trying to take down the base, but I don't think
he's running in
here. He has to be careful. Mithy should be able to chase him down. Are they going to go for it? Selfmade has no mana left. Home guard boots empowering the J4. They're running forward.
Patrik has teleport up in 3 seconds. He has wards to come in on the flank. At the same time, Dream's going to be trying to get back here towards SK. Origen had a brief window where they could find a fight, but their base has been ravaged.
Origen almost saw the game slip out of their eyes. Their playoff hopes on the line right here. It came down to inches.
So huge here because it's Kold that starts off the fight, and the cask knocks Patrik away. He's not able to get down any DPS. But the big change here is Crownshot flashing forward for the kill, and then Jenax on the dive to kill Patrik.
Just the confidence of Crownshot as well. The fact that he flashes forward, that he's doing so much damage with his Varus, has the completed Infinity Edge, and it's just the miracle performance of Alphari, which has been the story of Origen the entire summer split. Alphari has been the constant rock.
A literal 1 versus 4 with your playoff hopes weighing in the balance right there. Origen almost lost everything. They still have a long way to go. It looks dire for them, down 7,000 gold right here, but it will be up to Alphari to see if they can come back.
I mean, you frankly get one more opportunity like that. Origen have run out of miracles. They have run out of time. They have one shot to make this count.
One opportunity. Froskurinn, this could be it. SK now grouping, setting their sights on the bottom side of the map, maybe hoping to break this one down. Of course, ultimates are starting to come back up. Can they find another play like this? For now, OG feeling pretty comfortable to step forward, to move out into the darkness outside of their base and clear some of this vision, get some control back into this game.
SK want to take the spot in him before Baron spawns, and with those long-range tools, they can just knock you away and zone you from the tower. SK, even without the Baron buff, they do have the ability to try and knock down these structures, but instead going to hold the horse a little bit, 50 seconds on Baron, dominate vision inside the jungle, and Origen will never have the chance to approach the pit.
In terms of checking in on itemization, Origen are getting closer and closer to that scaling that we keep talking about. Issue is that Patrik had to take a right turn, grab the Hex Drinker, so he's only sitting on the Essence Reaver and the Eye Edge, whereas on the other side, you do have kind of that super tank status that Kold has reached, now having access to the Gargoyle Stoneplate. So in this time window that we're looking for the Baron, if Origen can even approach it, if they can stall it long enough, you need to get Patrik to that third item.
And Origen, the way they need their teamfight to play out is they need SK to run into them. They need to kite back with the Kennen and the Xayah, keep those two carries alive, and then just maybe they have a chance. But right now, SK and Crownshot in particular are so ludicrously strong that any fight inside the river must favor them.
It does need to be pointed out, though, that Crownshot burned his flash very aggressively in that last engagement. Does have the GA, but can be punished. He needs to play this one much safer, so eyes on Dreams to make sure that Crownie can continue to play so aggressive on the front lines.
And more importantly, if you're an Origen fan, eyes on Mithy. He has the flash. He's on the recon. He can be the difference maker. Nukeduck's flash coming up as well. Split briefly. Dreams can't eat himself. He's going to be forced to walk around the corner.
I think he's using it more so to try to gauge where SK are.
Dreams not in the midst of the fight. The blast cone will take him into the middle of the team. They have to be careful though. Alphari is here. Kold has got the fight kicked up, but Jenax is into the back line. Instantly the Rumble Ult is there too. And SK are starting to tear through Origen, but Alphari unwavering on the front line. It will not be enough. Crownshot does the damage. The double kill coming in. And this is it. It is a slaughter in the river. Patrik is not enough. SK will not be denied, and OG will be wiped off the rift.
SK will be trying to get back into playoffs after Spring Split. It was a long road for them. It looked dire, sitting at the bottom of the standings for so long throughout this split, and on the final day of Week 9, they have a chance.
When the pressure mounted, Jenax came in and he turned this team's season around, and here, SK's dreams live on.
And that man on your screen gave an incredible performance alongside the likes of Jenax. Crownshot on the Varus, aggressively flashing forward, making sure that he was itemizing for the damage, empowered for his team, and has been the consistent rock for SK Gaming despite all of the turmoil.
And honestly, so much of SK's story in the LEC thus far this year has been the story of individual performers stepping up, but this was one a game where they did look like a team, where every single member contributed. It was the Rumble Ults, it was the Gragas, it was the Tom Kench saving the day every single time when it mattered in the early game, and honestly, an incredible turnaround of the split from the side of SK.
They needed every single piece of the puzzle to fit together perfectly today, and that's exactly what they did here. Beautiful stuff coming through from this team. Playoff life still a possibility for this squad, that their chances were so minuscule coming into this final week of regular play.
Puts more pressure, of course, as we move into Game 3 for Vitality. If they lose there, they will play the tiebreaker versus SK. But as we look to the opposite side, is a somber story for the Origen lineup from 2nd to 8th. Of course, their spring performance will buy them a second chance in the regional qualifier. They will still get a shot at Worlds, but it is not the summer season that they wanted.
I mean, it's frankly a heartbreaker for Origen and a head scratcher for everyone watching. It seems so confusing to try to diagnose what has happened to Origen, from finals to missing out on playoffs. It is a massive fall from Brace.
It's just frankly shocking here for this squad. As you said, one more chance, and maybe one more chance for SK2 to get that 6th place spot. The possibilities are there for this team where it looked so dire for so long.
Well, let's not let this be the eulogy of OG. Instead, let's celebrate a little bit for SK. It was an incredible performance from this team to keep their dreams alive, and it started with individual moments like this.
Selfmade coming up so huge there. And then around the Baron, the coordination of this is not the easiest thing. Making sure you're layering these spells out to make sure the Jarvan cannot enter into the pit. Beautiful stuff from them. And the man on your screen too, Jenax, huge in fights.
Massive score line. Finished that game 8-2-3 onto the Aatrox. Has been the absolute game changer when he joined this squad. He flexed on the Corki. He now got to show off his Aatrox. And he is a star in the making.
Returning to the Aatrox after he played in his first 2 games, debuting on the LEC stage. Triple kill to finish that one off right there, and a whole lot of damage to come along with it.
And once again, it was a game where in the early game, OG tried to force so much, but at the end of the day, SK denied them at every single turn, and finally, once they got in control, they did. They made those decisive plays. You said, hey, they need to do something here to get out. They went for that Baron. They made that moment count, and even with some heroic moments on the side of OG from the likes of Alphari, it was too little, too late. SK taking over.
Yeah, nothing that Origen could do after Selfmade just read Kold and the rest of his team like a book in the early game. Every single time Origen tried to make a move, SK was always waiting to respond. They had the teleports to come in and take these numbers advantage fights. It was just really clean League of Legends all around from this team.
It's hard always to pick the 3 players that are going to be eligible for Key Player of the Game, but this time you can head over to Allsfield on Twitter and vote for Selfmade, Jenax, and Crownshot. And frankly, Crownshot, but like, I don't know if you can vote for Crownshot without also a vote for Crownshot is also a vote for Dreams as far as I'm concerned, because that duo felt like the biggest deciding factor.
And we're just making up rules on the last day of the season.
Why not? This is the only day they're going to count, so
I'm going to
make them up
say
here.
Jenax.
Jenax, pretty good. I mean, Selfmade did one shot of Zion.
I'm calling Selfmade on this.
Jungler.
Junglers, all the way.
Gonna have to see. Well, it's interesting. I don't know. We're gonna have to find out exactly who will win the poll. I think it's always a little bit biased for the hype 80 carry, especially when you're playing a dashless 80 carry. But for Jenax to be a rookie, I think he gets like extra bonus points, and then when you one-shot an 80 carry, you also get.
I mean, he was like the second wind of that team. He came in, you immediately saw a change.
These are some serious mental gymnastics to not give the award to Selfmade right now is all I'm trying to say.
This is the only kind of gymnastics I can do, Ender. All right, well, let's see what Jenax and Selfmade have to say after that win.
Thank you, guys. Thank you, guys. And I mean, it's getting closer and closer. A few weeks ago, you guys didn't believe even in playoff, and like, you're one step away from making it. So, Jenax, tell me about the progress you guys made as a team since you joined the team a few weeks ago.
I mean, I think we did a really good job at finding our identity as a team. Like now we are playing much more aggressive, much more forward. We look for more fights, especially in the early game. Our mid game is still a bit sloppy, but we are getting there.
I want to know what goes through a rookie head in this situation, because when I talk to the rest of the team, everybody was saying that pressure has a good effect on you, but how do you live it?
I mean, I don't really feel the pressure of like making playoffs or not making playoffs. I have more the pressure of like performing well and doing like the job that was given to me in draft. And like before the game, I'm always a bit nervous, but I think I can use it for my advantage, and I don't feel any pressure in game.
About performing well, you guys smashed OG here. So who should get player of the game, according to you, Selfmade?
In my opinion, better bot lane always wins, so I would vote for Crownshot.
Nice one. I saw many, more about the game now. I saw many bans towards mid lane. We know that Nukeduck has an ocean of a champion pool here. So weren't you worried at any point that even banning many mid lane champs, he would get successful?
I think we banned only Azir and Corki, right? Those two which are like the stable mid laners that most of the teams in LEC play. And I don't think Azir is that strong. Corki is obviously super broken. But like when you play on stage, people play more passive, I would say. And when it goes to like minute 30, 40, those champions start to pop up. So we decided to take them out from him.
All right, well, looking in the game, you guys have an amazing early game. Things were a bit slower in the mid game. You guys spent a lot of time around mid lane, having a hard time to just fix the wave and then head up to Baron. So can you tell me why it took you such a long time to just head over Baron?
I'm actually not too sure why. Or like the thing was that with the matchups that we had, even though we were like ahead and winning, they still are able to push us out. So they are normally first or even in the rotation. So it was kind of hard to like push them out.
Okay, well, moving on to the next stage of the game, I want you guys to look at this replay. There's, I think, 1 minute left on the Baron, and as the casters were saying, you guys should have maybe reset there, but you still forced the fight. I mean, OG goes to you, so I want you to tell me why you knew that you could take the fight here.
I mean, I think we can take this fight because, as you can see, like Aatrox may be a bit unbalanced. Like, I can just jump in, heal up again, and then, yeah, if he played a bit cleaner, then Ken would also not be able to kill me. I was walking into tower again. But yeah, our champions are just a bit too strong at that point, so we can just go in and dive.
All right, well, you weren't worried at any point that you could lose the game at this point, right?
Well, not really. I felt like we won the game when they first picked Jarvan. I just went to the game with like really nice mentality that we're gonna win from draft already, so we just did our job and it worked out.
All right, now before talking about the next game, because you'll be interested in this one, I want to know, if someone told you a few weeks ago that you would actually have a shot of making playoffs in the worst possible moment, when you guys have the biggest doubts, what would you have said?
I mean, we had 8 lose streak, right? And we already been kind of mentally out of playoffs, but right now everything is in Schalke hands, right? So I'm just gonna cheer for them.
That's amazing. Now you, Jenax, you just got player of the game.
Nice.
Is that it?
Yeah, it's nice.
Okay, well, that's nice, I guess. Now, into the next matchup, Vitality will take on Schalke and Wolfir. I hope you guys are big fans of Schalke here, so they're standing just next to you. So is there anything you want to say to the Schalke players who are about to take on Vitality on the next game? Give them some motivation.
I just wish them luck, and I hope they're gonna be better than enemy team.
And also, I think Trick has 2 water bottles on his stage, so this one is gonna be a free win.
All right, I hope it will be a free win for you. Thank you guys for joining me. We're gonna take a break now, and coming back, it's gonna be an important game as well. Schalke 04 versus Vitality. Don't go anywhere.
But as exciting as those stakes are, this level 1 might be a little bit more. But now Mithy is going in, but the rest of his team is nowhere near him. He just completely tunnel vision, and now he's going to give up his life. Kold trying to find it. Mithy now moving into the backside, but for now, Crownshot has been kept alive. The bar's now trying to turn. Alphari doing what he can, but it is not the AP. It's Jenax on the flank. Maybe this is his time to shine. The lockup will not come through. Crownshot still alive. The double kill. The bar is simply too strong. And here they go. Dream's not in the midst of the fight. The blast cone will take him into the middle of the team. They have to be careful, though. Alphari is here. Kold has got the fight kicked off, but Jenax is into the back line. Instantly, the rumble ult is there, too. And HK are starting to tear through Origen. But Alphari unwavering on the front line. It will not be enough. Crownshot does the damage. The double kill coming in. And this is it. It is a slaughter in the river. Patrik is not enough. SK will not be denied. And OG will be wiped off the rift.
I'm Quickshot, he's Ender.
And this is Answering Questions and Sneakers.
Mine are nicer.
Answering questions and sneakers.
And now it's time for questions. Questions?
If you could travel in time, when and where would you go?
Dinosaurs, so I can see a Triceratops.
I would go to space. I would go to Mars in like 40 years.
What if you could breathe?
I don't know, I like to live on the edge.
One more drink or one more Bacardi, one more dance at this after party. We still going strong. Speed so fast, I like